Hello all, what a week it has been in the world of boxing. There are a lot of unhappy boxing fans out there. Make sure you hit the subscribe, the like button, and of course leave a comment down below with your thoughts, feelings and opinions on the whole situation regarding Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Now, I haven't made a video on this over the last week or so, and in a way that's a good thing. Because when we're in an environment where new news and new developments are coming out every single day, every single hour, if you're one of these YouTubers that hits out a lot of videos and comments on things as they happen, that's a great thing. We need to be up to date on things. The only problem is those videos become out of date very quickly, and then of course they become very reactionary. Now that everything has played out, I feel that I'm much better equipped to evaluate form and give my own feelings and opinions on everything that has happened. This was not a deliberate choice. I have actually been itching to get videos made and put out there. I've just been far too busy in my own life. It's the way it goes. So, where are we at? Well, the biggest fight in the sport, for the biggest prize in the sport, a unification fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, the biggest fight in the sport, is not going to happen. And anyone who calls themselves a boxing fan, anyone who is a boxing fan, should be massively disappointed by that. Hugely disappointed by that. I don't necessarily feel that I need to go over all the points, because you've all lived it. If you're watching this video now, it's because you're a boxing fan. You know what's happened. You know what's gone on. Over the last 3 or 4 months, Eddie Hearn has been very positive about the fight being made between AJ and Fury. AJ has been positive himself. He has voiced his opinion. He's voiced his feelings, saying that he wants the fight to happen. Tyson Fury, his interviews have been strange. In the whole build-up to that AJ fight, where we got to the point where the venue was being sorted and finalised in Saudi Arabia, to the point where Tyson Fury said, yeah, it's on. And pretty much the next day, it's gone. It's vanished. Gone. I don't think Tyson Fury looks good at all, because he seemed very half-arsed in trying to get the fight with AJ over the line for the last 3 months anyway. And then as soon as this whole thing with the arbitration comes up with Deontay Wilder, there's very little pushback from Fury on that. It's just a case of, oh, the arbitration's done that. Okay, we'll fight Wilder then. There's no, I'm really disappointed that I've just missed out on the biggest payday of my career and the biggest fight of my career for all the marbles to find out who is the best undisputed heavyweight on the planet right now. For a guy that's lost all these things, this opportunity to gain all that money and prove to the world who the best is, and to beat and humiliate Anthony Joshua the way his fans and he claims that he'll do, he doesn't seem that disappointed. He seemed very, very eager and quick to get pen to paper to get the Wilder fight signed. All the stumbling blocks that were happening between Fury and AJ, those same stumbling blocks don't seem to be there when making a fight with Wilder. Interesting that, isn't it? And I think even Fury fans who have defended this guy and the absolute tsunami of nonsense that he pours out during interviews, his army of fans are very loyal, dedicated fans, and they've argued this guy's corner online, on Twitter, on YouTube, on all platforms to the death. And I think some of them are starting to feel that they've been taken for mugs, which isn't good. That's not good for Tyson Fury. This whole thing doesn't look good for Tyson Fury. And Anthony Joshua was pretty much first to put the boot in and went off on one on Twitter. I'm sure everyone watching this has seen the tweets between the two. So Fury versus Wilder is signed. We're waiting on venues and final dates, but it's looking like August it's going to happen. And they should bill this fight Fury versus Wilder 3, the fight no one wants to see, apart from a handful of very, very deluded Deontay Wilder fans. Now, I appreciate that Deontay Wilder fans are currently doing victory laps around the internet. We told you about the arbitration. We told you AJ versus Fury wasn't going to happen. We told you that it was going to be Wilder Fury 3. Okay, but is this something to really celebrate? You're celebrating the fact that we're not going to get a unification fight at the heavyweight division. You're celebrating the fact that we're not going to get the biggest fight in the sport for all the marbles. And you're calling yourself boxing fans? Really? The worst thing that could possibly happen is happening. And I don't just mean for the sport of boxing, where once again the fans, in general terms, are screwed over. The fight they actually want is not going to happen. Not now, anyway. Not anytime soon. It might happen further down the line, but not right now. What Deontay Wilder fans don't see is when this third fight happens with Fury, and Fury beats Wilder even easier than he did last time, then it's going to make all the ridiculous excuses from the previous time look even more ridiculous. Not to mention the people that bought into those excuses and defended them and defended Wilder. You've all been thrown under the bus. If Tyson Fury doesn't beat Deontay Wilder in this next fight, in this third fight, first of all, it's hugely embarrassing for Tyson Fury. Hugely. Because he should win this fight easily. He's done it once. Even on one of Fury's worst nights, Deontay Wilder could get a draw. Couldn't knock him out. Put him down twice, Fury got up twice. Then, the second fight, Fury, obviously, new corner, in better shape, more focused, better game plan, came out and beat the brakes off Wilder in a one-sided contest, which is why no one wants to see the third one. We already know what's going to happen. You see, if Wilder hadn't done this third fight, you can stick to the excuses. You can stick to the fairy stories of, oh, the ring entrance clothing was too heavy. Oh, there's glove tampering. Oh, my trainer did this, that, and the other. As soon as this third fight happens and Tyson Fury wins it easily, it's going to look all the more ridiculous. What excuses are going to be there? That's the only mystery about this fight is what excuses is Deontay Wilder going to come up with next. The other problem is as well, if Tyson Fury were to lose this fight, then there could well be a fourth fight between Wilder and Fury. And all the time that these two are boxing each other, other things are going to, the division's going to be moving on and moving away from them. Tyson Fury only has a handful of fights left, 2, maybe 3. So if Wilder were to win this one, next one, I mean, Fury might call it a day there. I don't think he will. I think there'd be a fourth fight with Deontay Wilder, and then he'd perhaps call it a day, having won that fourth fight. But if Wilder beats Fury, do you think Wilder's going to fight AJ? No, of course not. He's not going to take that. He's going to make some ridiculous demands and price himself out of it. And the fight will never happen. It won't. I don't think AJ versus Wilder will ever happen. I'm not convinced now that AJ Fury will ever happen. You've got the heavyweight division that are moving on with great fights being made, and then you've got Wilder and Fury. They're boxing for the wooden spoon. Look at their resumes. Deontay Wilder's best win is Ruiz beating AJ. Fury's best win is an absolute snooze fest against Vladimir Klitschko. His second best win being Ruiz beating AJ. His third best win being Deontay Wilder. That's where we're at with these two. They're becoming less and less relevant. As for Anthony Joshua, the WBO have ordered that he has to face his mandatory, which is Alexander Usyk. In my opinion, Usyk versus AJ, that is now to find out who is the best in the division. Usyk is a pound for pound top 10 fighter. Okay, that's opinion. But in my opinion, Usyk is the only boxer in the heavyweight division at the moment who is on that top 10 pound for pound list. AJ isn't, Fury isn't, Wilder isn't. I mean, those guys would probably not get in my top 20 pound for pound. Usyk cleaned out the whole of the cruiserweight division and has moved up. People can go on about the Derek Chisora performance. Oh, well, he didn't knock out Chisora. You know who else didn't knock out Chisora? Vitaly Klitschko didn't knock out Chisora. Dillian White took 2 goes to knock out Chisora. Parker couldn't knock out Chisora. Takam got knocked out by Chisora. Not everyone goes in there and knocks out Chisora. David Haye obviously did, and that was a great performance, and that performance looks better and better all the time. Tyson Fury couldn't knock out Chisora. I think people massively underestimate Usyk, and I think Usyk is a much, much harder fight for Anthony Joshua than people are realising. Much harder. I think Usyk has a much higher chance of beating Joshua on points than probably Fury does. I bet that's going to rustle some jimmies. But that's where I stand now. I don't really care about Fury Wilder 3. I probably won't even watch it. It's going to be on BT Sport, which I don't have. If it's a pay-per-view situation where I don't need BT Sport to watch it and I can just pay-per-view, I won't do that either. I'm not interested in this fight. I want a unification fight for all the marbles to find out who the best is. Not this fight gets in the way of that. Anyway, let me know what you think down below in the comments. I am going to do preview and prediction videos for Fury and Wilder. That's going to rustle some jimmies from both sides. And of course, Usyk and AJ, if that gets made, I'll be doing one on that too. Thank you all very much for watching. See you all again soon. Take care. Goodbye.